The Battle of Hunayn, where the overconfident Muslims fell. They thought the battle was already won, that numbers meant victory, that strength guaranteed success. But Hunayn was where the earth cracked beneath their pride. Let me take you back to a narrow valley in the desert of Hunayn, just east of Makkah, nestled between Ta'if and the rugged Hijaz mountains. It was the 8th year after Hijrah. The conquest of Makkah had just shaken Arabia. The Quraysh had surrendered, idols had fallen, and the Prophet had marched into the Kaaba, not with vengeance but with mercy. But not everyone welcomed this new order. In the valleys nearby, two proud pagan tribes gathered, Hawazin and Thaqaf, old rivals of Quraysh, masters of archery, fierce in their independence. They saw Islam's rise as a threat to everything they had, land, honor, power. And so, they plotted. Under the fiery command of Malik ibn Auf, a young war-hungry leader, they did something Arabia had never seen before. They marched into battle, with their women, children, and livestock behind them, to fight and either win or die. The Prophet Muhammad, hearing of their movements, acted swiftly. He led an army of 12,000 strong, the largest Muslim army ever assembled. 10,000 were veterans from Medina and the conquest. 2,000 were fresh Muslims from Quraysh, only recently converted. They marched into Hunayn Valley. Confident, powerful, too confident. From the cliffs above, the ambush began. Thousands of arrows rained down like fire. The narrow pass turned into chaos. The valley of Hunayn erupted in panic. From the ridges above, the tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif unleashed a sudden storm of arrows. The Muslims, proud in their overwhelming number, were caught off guard, trapped in a narrow pass where movement was tight, and escape even tighter. The earth, despite its vastness, felt tight around you. Quran 9:25. Men ran, horses bolted, shields dropped. Even some of the new Muslims whispered, "Today we will surely be defeated." The army of 12,000 melted into dust and fear, but then he stood. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, surrounded by only a handful of his companions. His voice cut through the panic like lightning through a storm. Ana an-Nabiyyu la kadhib. Ana ibn Abdul Muttalib. I am the Prophet, no lie. I am the grandson of Abdul Muttalib. He did not retreat. He did not flinch. By his side stood Abu Sufyan ibn al-Harith, once his enemy, now his shield. His uncle al-Abbas, with a mighty voice gifted by Allah, called out, "O people of the tree, O people of the tree," referring to the veterans of Bayat al-Ridwan, those who pledged under the tree. The call pierced their fear. The Ansar turned, the Muhajirun turned. Their hearts caught fire again. One by one, they ran back to the Prophet, peace be upon him, 10 by 10, then 100 by 100. They gathered around him, like stars pulled toward the sun. The Muslim army reformed. Then they charged. The tide had turned. The ambushers became the hunted. The tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif broke into pieces, scattered, retreating. Their confidence shattered not by numbers, but by the return of a few hearts burning with faith. Then Allah sent down His sakana, His tranquility, upon His messenger and the believers. Quran 9:26. That divine peace, that unshakable trust, is what reclaimed the day. It was not strategy that won Hunayn. It was not numbers. It was the echo of a prophet's voice, the loyalty of the steadfast, and a lesson carved into revelation. Victory belongs to Allah. He gives it to whom He wills. Surah At-Tawbah 9:25-26. Indeed, Allah has given you victory on many battlefields, and also on the day of Hunayn, when your great numbers dazzled you, but they were of no benefit to you. The earth, despite its vastness, became tight for you, and you turned back fleeing. Then Allah sent down His tranquility upon His messenger and upon the believers. Surah At-Tawbah 9:25-26. Sahih Muslim, Book of Jihad 1775. Sahih al-Bukhari